Good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve wishing you a very pleasant evening and welcome back to my channel. And I've been noticing a lot more channels that I go to these days doing an opening advertisement to try and raise a little bit more money on their videos. And for myself, because it takes me back to the day when on the radio or on the television someone would actually come out before the show started and say, "And now a message from our sponsor," da, 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 da. And it would be some tooth whitening, cleaning, vacuum cleaning, whatever product that they were sponsoring to make money in the same way. So maybe history does repeat itself. But this evening I would like to talk about a little issue. I had one of those moments. I was reading a Zero Hedge article, and it was about the fact that 200,000 jobs could be lost in the banking industry due to AI. And as I'm reading the article, you ever get those moments when you sort of all of a sudden elevate your mind and you can suddenly telescope out and you just see the long-term effects of something like this and how many people it's going to affect, because it's not just 200,000 people in banking. I did a little research, and we are looking at extraordinary numbers and also very misleading numbers, and we'll get into that. You'll see when you look at the article that I'm going to show you. But I also found it's absolutely fascinating that all of these years we've been learning to fear the robot. There was Terminator, Arnie Schwarzenegger, there was Data and his mad brother Law. There's been all kinds of robots. There was the police one, I forget the movie now, but where this cop gets turned into a robot. So we've been learning to be concerned, intimidated, by the idea of a robot. And so it's a very distracting thing, and we've all been looking in that direction. And of course it has been actually pretty stunning, some of the advances. I'm just going to play a clip now of this new Boston Dynamics robot, Atlas. And when you see this little workout routine that this robot does, it's actually unbelievable, and it's a little scary too, because you can imagine this thing actually running around with a gun strapped to its side and doing the Terminator type of robot thing. It's not very glamorous, but I'll tell you one thing, they are getting a lot more sophisticated. And if you go over and look at what Honda is doing with robots, they are a lot more sophisticated and streamlined, and then put that together with the what they're doing down in Disneyland. And pretty soon you're going to be coming up with a fairly sophisticated robot. Anyway, let's just take a quick look at that clip, and we'll come back and carry on. And so, as I say, what that has been doing is basically distracting us from the real AI takeover, which has been taking place very, very subtly and very, very quietly, and that is the takeover of data crunching, middle management to lower management jobs. But there is an interesting disparity in that the job losses, when you look at $20 an hour paying jobs or under, there is an 84% effective rate on those kind of jobs, that kind of pressure. They're in extremely the high end for being turned over to AI. And these are your simple service jobs like working at McDonald's. They're already working on these robot tellers, that kind of stuff. But also, you get up into insurance clerks and bank clerks and this kind of stuff. All of these people who really just fill out a form. Government workers, when you go to obtain a government service, more and more and more you're being sent to a website and you're doing the work yourself in an effort to eliminate people across the staffing spectrum. And so in the next 5 to 10 years, we are going to see absolutely horrendous job losses, especially at the lower end kind of jobs. Anyway, listen, let's take a look at these articles that I found, and we'll come back and I'll do a quick wrap up. Okie dokie, here we go. Zero Hedge, a dramatic change ahead. Robots are coming for 200,000 US banking jobs. A new report by Wells Fargo and Company warns that nearly 200,000 US banking jobs are at risk of being displaced by robots. As we've explained in the past, accelerating technological advances in automation, artificial intelligence and machine learning have the potential to reshape the world in the 2020s through 2030. The collision of these forces could trigger economic disruption far greater than what was seen in the early 20th century. Across the financial industry, a new wave of investment, somewhere in the tune of 150 billion per year, is being spent on technology that will lead to lower costs, with employee compensation accounting for half of all its bank expenses, says Mike Mayo, a senior analyst at Wells Fargo Securities LLC. The Wells Fargo study, which was first reported by Bloomberg, indicates 20 to 33% of banking jobs will be slashed by 2030. Most affected will be back office, bank branch, call center and corporate employees. Jobs related to tech sales, advising and consulting will be less affected, according to the study. It will be a dramatic change in contact centers, and these are both internal and external, Michael Tang of Deloitte Partner, who leads the consulting firm's Global Financial Services Innovation Practice, said in a Wells Fargo report. We're already seeing signs of it with chatbots, and some people don't even know that they're chatting with an AI engine because they're just answering questions. Wells Fargo joins a handful of other major banks that have already detailed plans to cut a majority of their workforce by 2030, amid the rapid adoption of automation and artificial intelligence. According to a Coalition Development Limited data, R. Martin Chavez, an architect of Goldman Sachs' push to automate its workforce, said last month, front office headcount for investment banking and trading declined for the 5th consecutive year in 2018. In an earlier piece, we described how tens of millions of jobs across the world and across various industries will be lost because of robots by 2030. The 2020s will be known as the Great Transformation Period, where corporate America abandons its workforce for automation. The coming job losses due to automation will be on a par with the automation revolution of agriculture, the transition of farm workers into the industrial sector from 1900 to 1940. Robots have so far increased threefold since the dot-com bust. Momentum in automation trends suggests robots will multiply even quicker through the 2020s. The collision of automation in the economy will lead to more volatility, economic swings, and social unrest. Okay, so you can see by this graph, this is the high chance of your job being handed over to a robot or a computer, medium, low chance, and of course these different color bars are the different sectors. And so a low chance are healthcare, education, legal, community services, arts and media, management, business and financial. The dark blue here, computer, engineering and science. There will be very few people affected in this. This is 33% of the employment in the US. But when you get into high employment, 47% employment. Okay, what is this brown one here? Oh yes, office and administrative support. The red, sales and related. The pink, service. So look, there is your big three job losses right there. Service, sales and related, office and administrative support. So you might want to think about that, you know, when you are considering what kind of employment you want to get into. And I will actually leave a link for this below, because it's quite a handy graph if you are looking for some kind of work or where to go for your education. And this from ARS Technica. Federal report, AI could threaten up to 47% of jobs in 2 decades. And artificial intelligence may also widen the inequality gap among workers. And that's what I said to you about, there'll be 2 tiers. There'll be like the top 10% and everybody else, and the lower 90%, there will be so little difference between them, it won't matter. So this is from 2016, and of course here are a couple of driverless trucks, semi-automated trucks driven on E19 highway in Belgium. And so this week, scientists and economic advisors to President Obama released a report on artificial intelligence. Well, we know that because it's the same as the Zero Hedge letter. But here is a little side piece here. Further reading: McDonald's ex-CEO, $15 an hour minimum wage will unleash robot rebellion. If these estimates of threatened jobs translate into job displacement, millions of Americans will have their livelihoods significantly altered and potentially face considerable economic challenges in the short and medium term, the report states. Both of these studies of jobs at risk due to automation, however, agreed that lower paying jobs are at highest risk. The study by Frey and Osborne, for example, found that 83% of jobs paying $20 or less an hour would be pressured by AI, compared to just 4% of jobs paying $40 an hour or more. And of course that puts you into the trades there. If labour productivity increases do not translate into wage increases, then the large economic gains brought about by AI could accrue to a select few, the report says. Instead of a broadly shared prosperity for workers and consumers, this might push towards reduced competition and increased wealth inequality. Okay, and possibly a revolution. I mean, it's unbelievable that these people who are going to make all of the money off this deal are not going to make sure that at least these people who've gotten laid off can have some kind of a life and don't just fall down into the gutter. Unbelievable. Now, of course, all of this automation and this artificial intelligence begs the question, what are we going to do with all the people who are going to get laid off or just find themselves out of work because their job has been eliminated? I mean, those people are just not going to evaporate just because their jobs have ended. So how are they going to pay their bills? And of course, this also brings to mind, isn't an economy like a loop? You have to have people earning enough money to be able to purchase things that you manufacture, so that your manufacturing plant can make a profit off the people who are working at the plant, who are manufacturing the things that they're then going to purchase. Because AI doesn't purchase a lot of stuff, and if everyone's broke and out of work, I'll tell you, you will be whittling chairs out of wood and trying to carve figurines or whatever, like they do in Haiti. You'll be sitting there with a chisel and a nail and a block of wood, and you'll be trying to chisel out some kind of carving that you can sell to the tourists who go by in their rich, fancy cars. Because, like I say, the numbers that we're looking at are absolutely staggering worldwide. And where does everyone think that their standard of living is going to go if this rollout continues as it is, with no one addressing that side of the issue? And I don't think they want to address that side of the issue, and that's why it's been a kind of stealth rollout, why we're not really sort of hearing the secretarial, middle management, that kind of stuff, other service jobs, those kind of replacements with AI. We're just hearing about Atlas robots running around and doing exercises on a pad. And they'll be manning the space stations and flying into space and all this kind of stuff, whereas really the threat to our jobs is from the much lower down scale of AI. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I personally am not against automation or computerization. I don't think there is any reason for anybody to ever go down a mine, go into a sewer tunnel, unplug a sewer grate, or goodness, who on earth wants to do that kind of stuff? Ugh, I mean, that's just horrible. However, what is unconscionable in all of this is not considering where the people who used to do that job are going to earn an income, how they're going to pay their bills, and how your economy is going to run. And I think this is where we're at. We have a lot of people who have just become so disconnected with the cycle of life, the cycle of economics, that they just, they actually think that they can, they're living in the ivory tower and they can chip away the first 3 floors of the building because they're not really in use anymore. Not realizing that it's the first 3 floors that hold up the whole building, and every subsequent floor it's not the top of the building that holds the building up, it's the base. And we're already seeing a drop in quality, a drop in serviceability. Everything is third party, it is offshored, this kind of stuff. I don't know about you, but I dread things going wrong and having to go through some kind of warranty process, because it's just a freaking nightmare. Anyway, these are important questions that we should be looking at, and I really am extremely concerned about the kind of mind that would just trash this number of humanity and leave them out there to fend for themselves against the wolves, and walk away with all of the profits, because we really are going into what's called neo-feudalism, where there'll be a few rich people, the 1%, and maybe there might be another 5% below that, but everyone below that, there'll be a sudden drop-off in income and living standard. And I don't have the answers to this, but it certainly needs to be addressed, and we, the people, certainly need to be addressed about this issue. And maybe our children should be aware, when they're choosing jobs, college courses, university courses, this kind of stuff, they should be aware of those jobs that are really going to be affected by AI, and try and avoid those kind of jobs, those careers, and look for niche kind of jobs. Certainly the trades, we have a huge shortage in the trades, and a lot of the trades are not going to be taken over. You are not going to see a robot hairdresser, you are not going to see a robot plumber, or a robot, well, maybe a robot welder, but a robot electrician, because right now we're just far too flexible a unit. The human being, we can do a lot of stuff still. So those kind of trades, they're still going to be there. Automotive, I think, is very risky. I had someone in the other day into the store saying that pretty soon you're just going to see 2-year leases coming out of factories, and there'll be a lock on the hood. You won't be able to service that car. It will just go straight back to the factory, and you will release another vehicle, a reconditioned vehicle. And of course it'll be factory reconditioned, it'll be in perfect shape, it'll be like a brand new vehicle in fact. But I think you're going to start seeing the car manufacturers will start to control the entire process, and well, that won't need many people to work as mechanics. If there's a lock on that hood, and there'll be a fine, no doubt, if you tamper with it, no, that will only go back to the factory, and it will only be factory serviced. So look out, put your flak jacket on and get ready, my friends. This next 5 years is going to be absolutely staggering. Okay, so if you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe below, and in the meantime, this is Hound Dog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and we'll talk very shortly. You take care now. See ya. Bye.